Podcasting from the Lone Star State in Southern California, you're listening to the Coma Podcast with Cody and Matt.
Hey everyone, and we're back here again. It's Friday, so we're here to chat with you all.
I've been trying to post the, like retweet it and let everybody know
Yeah.
we're here.
Matt texted me earlier, and he was like, "Hey, are we doing a show?" And I was like, "Let's do it."
That was like 10 minutes ago, by the way.
Yes, it was.
This was all me. So it's finals week for me. It is. I have, what's finals for me is I have a standardized test I take that is like a parallel curriculum that I'm not taught. I'm just kind of handed the test and said, "Here, good luck." We get them as study materials for it, but our teachers are not allowed to teach it to us. It's insane. It's also 10% of your grade, and it's kind of an all or nothing. So if you don't get the minimum required score, you get a 0. You get one retake, and if you still don't get it, you get a 0. If that losing that person, and then you lose 10% of your grade. If that 10% drops you below a 75.00, and there is no rounding, you fail. And the class you fail, the co-requisite class is your clinical class. You auto-fail that one too, even if you got 100 in it. So that's why I'm slightly neurotic at the end of every semester. And then I have 2 theory classes and a clinical. That equals everything because one of my classes is 5 credits, and that's the bulk of my lectures. Both of those finals landed on the same day this semester. So one's at 9 o'clock this coming Tuesday, and the other one is at 2 p.m. But my standardized test is the big deal. That is the one that is a make or break situation, because if you fail it and you have to do the retake falls either on a finals day or the day after. I mean, so you're trying to study for finals and also this thing. And if your scores are high enough, yes, you can avoid it. But your bulk of your grades are 3 tests and a final. So, yeah. But I ended up doing very well this time. I took all our practice tests, and we're very fortunate. The practice tests, so if you have A, B, C, and D, and you pick B, even if it's the right answer, it'll tell you why B is the right answer, but it'll tell you why A, C, and D are wrong. So what I do for the practice test is I file off all those rationales for all 110 questions into the categories, because it's the same 15 or 20 topics, just tested on from this company's point of view and how they do things. So I turn that into one giant 10-page study guide. And then I teach it to people because teaching helps me. And by repeating it constantly, it helps get it into my head. So when I get to the test, even though it's an entirely different phrase, entirely different questions, and probably a totally different thing I ever thought of, it helps me start eliminating answers. And then I can rationalize it down to at least the last 2, if not the only one, and get it right. And I ended up scoring, there's 3 levels, 1 to 3, 3 being the highest, and I scored a level 3 on this test. Which, when you get a level 3, it's equivalent to a 90, and I can do an extra hour or so of work where I've turned in a bunch of templates. It'll show you all the topics you didn't do so well on, and anything that's under a certain percentage, I turn in this work for, and it'll give me another 10%. That's only granted to you if you get the minimum required score. On the retake, if you pass, it doesn't matter if you get 100% and get all 140 questions right, you're going to get this basic 60. You'll get 60% of it, which is still will generally be enough to pass you. It's just if you lose all 10%, then it just fucks you over. Not to mention you have to pay for your semester again. So I ended up scoring the level 3, which got me the 90. I turned in the work that night or the next morning and got 100. So if you remember how poorly the semester started, so I've been very stressed all semester because it's put me under pressure for this test. That's what I was trying to set myself up for success. And I only need a 54 on one final to pass, and I need a 35 on the other one to pass. So I've gotten myself back to a very good position. This is why I work so hard. I work really hard in the front of the semester because, your battery just dies. There is no recharging. So you're as good as you're going to get on day one.
Mm-hmm.
That's it. So if you only make it to 80% charge, good luck.
That's it.
You might notice I'm actually wearing a nursing sweater. This is PQRST, these letters, which is an EKG, like you see the thing on TV.
Mm-hmm.
Those are, so that's been my excitement. I passed this test on, I think, Wednesday morning. And last semester when I took this test, I got above the minimum required score by 4 or 5 points. And each question is worth about 0.7. So I skated over the line and then some. And when I hit submit, my computer crashed in the lab. And typically what you do is you submit, you see your score, you get up and you walk out. Because one, it's stressful. Two, your peers are still testing. So it's not the appropriate place to, just walk out. And my computer crashes. And I'm like, are you fucking kidding me? So I raise my hand and one of our teachers comes over and, hey, Mr. D. He's like, his exact words. Oh, shit. I ain't never seen that before. Because when it came up, it'll tell you what percentage you got and what level you got. Mine just said 0%, level not available. So I knew I hadn't failed. I mean, I knew I didn't turn in 0. What I was worried about was maybe it had glitched and not uploaded, and it crashed and not taken my test. So am I going to have to retake this whole damn test? And so that was my fear. And so a good 5 minutes goes by, and another teacher who's a very lovely person as well, because they're calling IT and they're doing all this shit. Another teacher just comes over. Oh dear, what is going on? I'm like, oh, they're calling IT, and I'm sitting here trying to be quiet because all my peers are still testing around me. There's about 100 of us taking this test, and she's like, oh, well, let me check the master computer up here. Claps back over there, and she holds up my score, and I mean, I think I levitated out of the room, and the test was so hard for me. Out of 100, so my test on Wednesday was 110 questions, and I needed approximately a 60 or a 70 to get a basic score. I know it sounds like an easy, I know that sounds like a very low score, and pre-nursing school me would have been like, what? But I will tell you, it was not that easy. I walked out of the room last semester. We need a higher score last semester. It's a different test. It's a different test each semester, depending on what you're learning that semester. And I walked out of there. And even this semester, out of 110 of those questions, there were maybe 40 of them I could have told you, I know that's the right answer. Because on here, it's not just A, B, C, or D. There's select all that applies.
Mm-hmm.
If you miss one, you lose the whole question. There is no partial credit on these. And you can't go back either. So if you realize you clicked the wrong thing, like one of them, I literally clicked the wrong answer and clicked next and went, wait, that wasn't right. Oh, well, which I think is stupid. If you have 2 hours to take a test, you should be able to do whatever you want with the questions in those 2 hours. But it doesn't let you do that. It doesn't let you flag them, go back. And our regular school tests do. So some students kind of get a little up in their nerves, and it's very easy. You wouldn't think so, but when you're that tense and you're that stressed and you're at the end of 16 weeks of hell, you're tired. And you make mistakes that you never would normally make. Luckily, I was able to sleep really well. Last semester when I walked out of that test, I had passing scores, and I still couldn't tell you confidently. If I had to retake the test that day, I couldn't have repeated that. And Chris, didn't your computer crash the last time you tried to take that test? Yes, it was the exact same test last semester. This time it didn't crash, but last semester I didn't realize what the fail rate was going to be. I walked out of the room, and if you remember me talking about this, if you guys have followed us for a while, I took the same test last semester on different subject matter, and I think 60% of my class failed it. So it was ugly. Like, I walked out and I'm like, oh my gosh, that was really hard. I passed, but oh my God. And I didn't realize staying with about 5 people, 2 of them had passed. One did exceptionally well, and the others just Boom. And we lost 40% of my classmates to that test, by the way. Like a good 40% did not make the semester, and most of it was because of that test. And they weren't able to repeat this semester either because there wasn't room for them to come back. So they opened up a summer program. So they're able to start back this summer, but they'll never catch up. They can't graduate until next summer. So they're 3 to 6 months behind. And from here on out, they now have the summer program open for all levels. They did open it for the lower levels, but I'm continuing forward, and my next level is not available over summer. Otherwise, I'd be able to graduate in fall. Can I just tell you how much I want to be done? Because the nursing school exam is called the NCLEX, and starting with my class in spring 23, they have changed the NCLEX. Not the material, but the testing format, the style, the question types, all of it's being changed. And we're the first round to take it. So I'm like, come on. Like, like, come on, life. Damn it. Chris, I'll be your personal IT guy if you need it. That is the premise of like 3 of my books, but most of them end well. Well, the ending's great, to be honest. No. But so last time we were here, we got to talk a lot about Cody, and we really put him over the roasting fire, and we're gonna try not to do that this time because we really just roasted the shit out of Cody.
It was all about me, all about my anxiety.
I mean, honestly, I loved it because I hope it was a little cathartic for you to be able to talk openly, because you and I have those conversations pretty regularly, but even when we talk after the show or talk on FaceTime, you don't like to talk about it so openly. You know, you'll bring it up with the pressing issue, and then you are like done. Like, and then you'll wait till we hang up, and then you'll text me and you'll resume normal flow. But you'll usually try to avoid it on camera or face to face with me. So I hope you felt comfortable and that you felt okay with the share. Because I mean, one of the bits of feedback I get, because I don't know why people won't tell you this, like, I wish we knew Cody better. I wish Cody would share more about Cody. Like, we see him get passionate about, you know, his pets and the projects he does, but we don't know Cody. And I was like, well, that is up to him to share what he wants to share. So, you know, everybody knows, you know, how to be camera perfect Cody. They want to see, you know, Cody. I will say that off camera when we talk, Cody looks just as stunning and his skin is just as flawless. It's fucking frustrating.
I have this whole setup, and so I was doing the BetterHelp thing that I mentioned last time we were on here live. I think today was my 4th session, but anyway, on the first session, I had this whole setup, and she was like, whoa, that's like quite the setup, because I had the lights on and the lights on me, versus most people who just use their phone and they're just like in their living room or on their couch or something. Ultimately, I couldn't use this whole setup and I had to go to the phone because whatever the system was, she sounded like a chipmunk and I could not understand her at all.
I guess it's really hard to take your therapist seriously for that.
And I was like, well, can I get through this? And I was like, I can't even hardly understand what she's saying. So yeah, that's going to be a no. And so then we tried just a phone call. No. And I was like, okay, let's just try my phone. Let's just try the simplest basic thing. Anyway, no, the BetterHelp thing has been going well. We put the link in last live's chat. So if you want to go back, you can click on that. I think it still might be available the free month, where you can have like multiple sessions a week. You can always text your person they match you up with. I would say it's been really good for me. The person they match me up with has been really great. We have great conversations about whatever it may be.
The last, I would say, at least 3 weeks, 4 weeks, like the level of social you're much more open to conversation again. And And I mean, when you've talked about anxiety before, and I've brought it up in conversation with other people when they talk to us about the podcast, it's really hard to explain to them, like, yes, he is literally a TV producer for like 10 years, and yes, he's so comfortable on camera, but that does not translate. People don't understand, and like, I was so glad you brought up the BetterHelp thing. I'm so glad we were able to put that in there, and I'm so glad it's working for you. Like, you've just been more.
Yeah, I think
open.
5 weeks on the medicine. I think we're going to 5.5
I would love to have Justin
weeks.
on for us to talk about, just kind of have more of an open conversation about it. I mean, I I feel like we've thought about doing this thing about having basically Justin and David join us and let them kind of go to it. And I'm just like, are we gonna get the crap roasted out of us for the, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Can you see it?
Totally. Yeah, it'd be interesting to see what he would say. Again, probably kind of like what you're saying, but 5 weeks on the medicine and about obviously I think 4 weeks talking to the therapist. And the thing is, like, when talking, like I kind of mentioned last week or 2 weeks ago, there's nothing surprising necessarily, but it's kind of like tying everything together. Actually, today we talked about flying, and I get anxious about flying. And it was like I didn't used to be, because I used to travel a lot, like go to New York, go to Orlando like multiple times a year. Before I moved to San Diego, I was coming to San Diego once a month, and so I didn't have that anxiety level that I do now. Um, and so we were talking about that, and ultimately it kind of comes down to there was one point something happened, and I was telling her everything and talking, and she was like, "Yeah, it's probably you're like everything is connected on flying. Is there was that incident that happened, and so it's like a trauma in your brain, and so no matter what, when you think of flying, your brain is automatically going to this one incident, and so it's not allowing you to process the reality." Because I was like, I'm not afraid of crashing. I'm not afraid of plane crashing, and that's most people's anxiety with flying, is that the plane is going to crash. I was like, that's literally not mine. Mine is like the incident happened where we had to like take basically, and it was an emergency landing, but it was a detour temporarily. But my thing is, like, I have no control of the situation, and also on the small planes there's no internet, so I can't see where we are. And so
Yeah.
if I can see where we are, I told her, I'm like, fine. On the big airplanes, I'm completely fine, no anxiety. It's literally, if those chances when the small plane has Wi-Fi, I'm good, like, because I can see where we are. For some reason, after that incident, I need to know where we are. Before that, it didn't matter, but after that, so
I
she
remember the
gave me
first time
some
you told me that.
tips.
I remember you telling me about that, and I was like, and you're like, it's flying. I'm like, I'm not a therapist, and I definitely am not doing my grad work in psych. But do you ever think maybe you have some control issues, Cody? And you're like, no. Anyway, the podcast starts sharply at 7, and I'm like, okay.
Yeah, I mean, so ultimately, as we've talked about, everything ties together, and none of it is like super super shocking and surprising, but just kind of putting it all together. And then, so in this case, she gave me a link to a certain type of music you can listen to that kind of like supposedly helps rewire your brain in certain instances. So if you get
That's
anxious, you can listen to this and it should help you. And then in the case of the flying incident, it should kind of retrain your brain because of that trauma. But it's interesting. So basically, it's music that starts in your left ear and goes to your right ear, and it's just like this repeating. So it's like a rhythm. So it's an interesting thing. So yeah, it's been good. I told Matt, actually, I've been working in the yard a ton, and I actually told uh, I'm going blank now. But anyway, I've been working in the yard, trying to get the yard all ready. Also, before it gets really hot this summer, so we like totally redid the garden. I haven't even sent Matt photos of the redone
I haven't even sent you I
garden.
haven't even talked about the project we just did. We just did something huge in the backyard, and I haven't even told you about it. It's
well,
like huge.
you did tell me you put up something in a hot tub.
Yeah, it's mostly true. Yeah.
Chris, Cody, please send me that music to me because I'd like to see if that helps me. Yes, I will send that to you. There's like there, I think on Apple there's a playlist with this type of music, and then on YouTube, there's like whole like things that are like an hour long playlist. But so been working outside, getting it all ready to go, and like we're redoing so much stuff um in the garden section where we have like tomatoes and stuff growing, and the whole vegetable garden is going great. We have chard, we have carrots, we have onions, we have garlic, we have turnips, we have radishes, green beans, black beans, corn, zucchini, squash,
Gee.
uh 6 different types of tomatoes, every herb you can think of, cantaloupe, watermelon, yellow squash, pumpkin, peppers. Oh, we actually have added a lot of extra stuff too. We now have two blackberry bushes, 4 dragon fruit plants, a boysenberry bush,
Oh.
and we just also added kiwis. So I can't wait to send some photos. It's been a work in
Yeah, I haven't seen
progress.
any of this.
And
Yeah, I haven't seen
so
any of this.
so when Matt texted me, I was outside like shoveling dirt and mud because we're taking up these rocks and I'm having to clean them because they've gotten all muddy and dirty, and it's a lot of work. And it's not been hot, but when you're out there doing all that, it gets really hot. But then before we came on here, I was like, okay, I'll be on there in a second. I have to go spray one of my hens because, and I'll have to send you a photo of this too. We had to put on like
Okay.
a little jacket on her back
That's cute.
because she was, well, others were pecking her and then she was pecking herself. This happens a lot with like roosters. When they mount the hen, they'll like pull the feathers or like peck their back. And so sometimes you would get this basically little jacket, canvas jacket, and you put on, and that way they can't peck and pull feathers out. Anyway, I think last week we went out there, and she's one of my favorites, Cruella. She's a small little black and white baby, and she's the sweetest thing. She was pecking her own self, and I know this because I saw, and the spot where she was pecking is right where her head turns around, and I caught her doing this. She literally, and I don't mean to be graphic about this, but she had pecked a dime size hole in her back. It
Damn.
was scary and kind of gross. So like we luckily had the little canvas thing. I'd already previously bought that. We had spray to clean it, so we've been doing that. She's been having to wear this jacket. She's doing well. She didn't get an infection. Apparently, if you keep hens, this is something that is normal, and you eventually will have this issue where a hen will
It
do
will
this to
eventually happen.
themselves. Yeah. Apparently, also, they become obsessive about it because they apparently love the taste of blood. And so once they start pecking themselves, they keep doing it because
Oh,
they they're getting
gotcha.
flesh. And also you don't want the other hens doing it because then it's just
Yeah,
like
it's
a
gonna kill him.
big
Yeah.
cannibal festival. So I've been having to deal with that.
I
But
feel
yeah,
like
after
there's an Army Hammer joke to make here, and I'll the
we
pieces are
love
there, and when I figure it out, I'll get back to you guys.
we love bringing up Army Hammer. Yeah, so I'll have to send all the photos and I'll post them up on the show and we can talk once I get it finished. I'm one thing I get this is the perfection. I need it to look pretty perfect. I'll show Matt before it's pretty perfect, but yeah. So let's see what we go. Joseph says, Farmer Cody, I try.
He
I'm
does
bringing
really freaking well. I'll let you
I'm
all know
bring
when I finally get to go out there,
I'm bringing
which
back
might
my
actually be summer.
I'm bringing back my video series, and I have a great place to film now because we redid the garden section. So I'll be talking about garden stuff. I'll be doing my whole chicken thing in my overalls. The overalls are coming back. Chris says, "Holy cow, Cody, do you live on a farm? I wish I was able to have that green." I actually was telling my therapist today. I was telling her it's relaxing for me. The weather's been nice. Go outside and just kind of relaxing. And I explained everything I had. I also did not mention in total. I think we calculated. I forgot now because we haven't recalculated and we keep adding things. We have a bad habit of going to the garden center and we just like buy things and we don't necessarily have a space for them, and then we have to find a space for them. But I think we have like 22 fruit trees. So name
How do
a
you know?
fruit, we have the tree. Is going to be my thing. We also have grapes, but yeah, it's like 22 trees now. So it
We do not
is
have that
base.
kind of space in our backyard.
Well, she was asking how big is your yard. I was like, it's like a small to medium size ish, probably on the smaller end size of people's backyards. We just like fit a lot in it. We maximize the space to the most efficient way possible. Because it's a pretty small-ish yard. Um, Quinn says, "Sounds like a Three Sister soup kind of summer." I know, right? We got my corn, beans, and zucchini, and pumpkins. Also, I guess we can add that in there. That is a great way to grow things. And then Joseph says, "Remember, all birds are tiny dinosaurs." I will tell you, I tried to get a video today because I wanted to show everybody, but she only does it when I open the door once. So we have a door on the front of the chicken coop, and next to it is their egg box where they lay their eggs. And I open the door. It's pretty much this one chicken in particular, and she makes this like just this long squawk. It's not like multiple squawks. It's just like one long loud squawk. And she, opens her mouth up because basically she doesn't want you messing with her, and she doesn't want you trying to get her egg or the eggs that she is sitting on. And every time it just reminds me of like little velociraptors. Um, that's basically what they are. And they can peck so hard. And then Chris says, but Cali yards are tiny. I can see that in Texas or maybe Florida, but wow, yeah, they're pretty small here. Unless you live in an area that is, if, if you live in a house that maybe is like $2 or $3 million, maybe you'll have a bigger yard. But yeah, and then the prices around here are
David and
still
I do
going
not
up.
have a big yard.
Do what?
We do not have a big yard here. Ours is kind of a large rectangle. We put up a 10 by 12 gazebo, like a solid one that you can actually leave out. And I would say the yard is probably maybe 14 to 16 feet wide. I don't know it's pretty good length, but
Yeah.
it's ours is a rectangle. Most of our neighbors have a large square. We kind of got screwed here. But one of our qualms with the house is we actually like our house a lot, but we don't like how little space it sits on, and we would kind of like to be a little farther out, which is probably why we're not staying in Texas. So probably as soon as the house is sold, nursing school is done, we're considering just literally applying for jobs in places we want to go, preferably somewhere very blue, because things are not looking good to stay in Texas. Well, actually, we're just not going to stay in Texas. It's not going to happen. But going somewhere, just wherever we apply to in a blue state and just going there. But yeah, in the back we put up the 10 by 12. David was in Colorado for a week on vacation. He finally got to take a little bit of a break because he's been doing nursing school. His school is his lectures are online, but his clinicals and labs are in person. So he's been doing clinicals and labs on Saturdays and Sundays and working Monday through Friday. And so that ended in April. And then he got a new job working at the hospital. He'll be in the same hospital as me on a different floor. So we can coordinate our schedules around school. Both of us should be able to work and have days off. David will have days off. So while he was there, they found that my roommate and David found the gazebo. I think Keith found it, showed it to David, and I just woke up to the group chat just blowing up, and I'm like, all right, just get in the car. I'll go. Okay, because we've been wanting to do this for probably 5 or 6 years. So we did that, and then David found the deal on an inflatable hot tub that seats 4, where there's only 3 of us in the house, so that's fine. So we got that, and all the part that came in. We had to get some extra parts for it, like outdoor, like heavy duty outdoor plugs and extension cords. Had to have an electrician come out because one of the plugs in the back of the house was bad and just not worth the risk. So we just paid the fee, had the guy fix it, and then today David installed a new one of those touchpad front door locks. It has a key, obviously, if you need it, but which is kind of cool because I'm missing a bunch of my fingerprints from working in restaurants. I burned my finger so many times that when I went to Universal and I had my Universal pass, I couldn't get my finger to scan. Matt, Chicago beckons. I will visit Chicago. I am not going back to the snow. I am a native to Ohio. I lived there for 10 years, and I lived in PA for 6. Those lake effect winters, go fuck themselves. And so miserable. It cuts you to the freaking bone. The wind. Oh, you got 9 layers of clothes on? Here, I'm going to find the one bit of your face that's exposed and cut it to the bone as well. And then you're going to bleed from it. And it's going to be raw and painful. Let's see. Sorry, the long guy's texting me.
Quinn said, I still think it was a missed opportunity to not have an educational chicken garden theme YouTube series called Cooped Up with Cody.
Right, that's a good idea.
Great idea there.
Well, I had another video series called Back in the Shed with Cody, but it was a little different. And it was on OnlyFans. It was not successful. Weird.
Chris says that he's claimed the 4th spot. I know Matt told me he got the hot tub and Speedo pics to come. And I
said that.
I was like, I guess I need to get Speedos. I don't have any.
You don't wear anything in your hot tub.
I was gonna say I don't wear anything in my hot tub. So.
And I might not either, but so that's one of the reasons. It's the gazebo is one of those that has the mosquito and bug netting, and it has the heavier zip around it. And we hung lights inside, and so tonight we're hoping we're gonna test the lights out and make sure they work okay. Because they need to be bright enough to where you don't have to squint in low lighting. Because David and Keith and I are all blind. It's so bad. Like if all of us take our glasses off, I have my glasses with me and I took them off because the light will reflect off when we do the live. And
y'all, it's basically the Golden Girls over there.
I know. There is an Italy, Texas. So just saying. But yeah.
Well, that's exciting.
Super excited to put in that. We should be able to have that up and running tomorrow. We're really, really excited about it because we really do like being outside. It's just Texas can get really hot, and between work schedules and being overheated, and mosquitoes are real. You can get the shit chewed up, and then trying to stay in shape. And also for the last year and a half, I've been so tired. As my T levels have been crashing, and they are on the rebound. I have to go in a week and a half for my 8-week checkup because I've been on T this whole time. I don't know if you can really see it in this light, but my cheeks are not nearly as red. Like my skin is feeling more normal, and I can kind of see my jawline again. Like I feel like I look more like me, and I feel a lot more like myself, and I'm able to remember things. Hence my test score is going way up. Do you know how hard it is to be in nursing school and you can't remember a conversation you just had? Holy crap. Now, that's not to say I don't have a short-term memory. What was happening was that if I had a conversation at 10 a.m. in lecture, I wouldn't remember it by 11. If I left at 10:30, at 11, I couldn't recall it. But sometime the next day, if I did my readings and stuff like that, it would eventually kind of filter in and start to, come in. So and it would seem to turn on when I was at clinicals. I did a really good job at clinicals, but yeah. So most of what I've been doing to try to decompress is just paint. Excuse me. Which the wall behind me will soon. This is going to become a wall of art. I've decided to go ahead and just hang all my work here, so I can watch,
The progression.
everything. And yeah, I just want to see. I'm trying to make myself be proud of my my work. I'm very reserved. I mean, I'll post it on Twitter or something like that, or I'll show it to you. But like, I don't know. And I locked my Twitter account a few weeks ago because I just got really tired of everybody. I just got really tired of it. That's me expressing my stress and anxiety. I just was tired of people, and I no longer wanted to interact with new people. And I'm sure there's lots of other cool people I haven't met. However, I'm good. I just needed a break from. A lot of people have main character syndrome, and they put it on display for everybody. And it was like, how can I get away from this? No matter how many things I mute, block, how many words I silence. I'm like, you know what? And then of course the bot follows were insane. Like the porn bots and the regular bots following, they just like choke up your feed. And I'm like, how are you? I'm not even following you. Why am I seeing this? So I was like, gosh, I think I'm gonna have to recreate my alt in order to like deal with this. And I ultimately didn't, because I really didn't want to deal with maintaining another thing. Like, I don't even think I could take care of a houseplant right now. I mean, David planted some stuff in the back, and thank God he waters it, because now, while David was away, I actually directed the putting up the gazebo. Keith was my big strong arms that helped me like be the second person, because it did require 2 people. But I directed the entire thing. I did the entire thing with Keith assisting, and that's a huge surprise for most people if you know me, because usually, I just kind of stand off to the side and just do what I'm told. Like, if I don't need to step into the leadership role, I generally won't. But Keith and I got it done. We started at probably 4:30 in the afternoon, and we finished around 10:30 at night. So up on a ladder, like 12 feet in the air, and I'm like putting shit up and sweating, and I'm gross, and I have the best shower ever. Like, it was literally the best damn shower. My shower was gross after, but it was up and it looked really good, and I'm very excited. It's still daylight here for probably another 15-20 minutes, so I'm excited to go out this evening and see. I'm hoping the hot tub doesn't take up a ton of the room, because we want to be able to have the chairs and a small table under there to be able to relax and have downtime. But
it's gonna be fun.
It is. I'm very much looking forward to it, especially in fall when it cools off a bit. And we might put a small like 8x8 deck under it, just for the hot tub to sit on. I bought an outdoor rug. We bought an outdoor rug to put under the hot tub, just so avoid sharp objects or things like that. But I feel better putting like an 8x8 deck under it, and just letting that sit there, and putting the hot tub on the rug, just as much protection as possible. So, but it'll be private enough that, I can go out there in shorts and a t-shirt and change there, dry off out there, and not have to worry about tracking in like wet feet, dirt, and mud, because that can get really frustrating to clean up. Cody's like, yeah.
Likely we just have to like hop out of the hot tub onto the like porch deck kind of situation that has a rug on it, and then the back door is right there. So luckily we don't have to like go through the grass or the dirt or anything.
Yeah,
but if you do
unless
that,
I create a walkway, unless we put in like a walkway, you're gonna have to, which I'm not opposed to, because our yard sucks. I can't use most of it because they put in a sprinkler system we didn't want, and that we can't use anyway. Why are we fucking gonna use a sprinkler system in Texas? Are you fucking high? And then across the back of our yard, they ran the power lines for the cluster of houses around us. So we can't even use a good chunk of the backyard. I'm like, this is frustratingly stupid. So yeah, we're kind of just stuck there. So we had to leave like a couple feet off one side in order for them to have the room in case they come back to work on the power lines or ever something goes wrong. They came into our yard and dug up our yard, never told us
Oh my
they were
God.
coming. We had no idea. I'm never dealing with this again. I'm never dealing with this again. It's the most frustrating thing.
Yeah,
That's
we
one of
wish.
the things that have made us hate the house because, if I'm standing, so our house is 2 stories, which I love. 2-story houses typically are cheaper than 1-story house because you can have twice the house but on the same footprint. It's the more concrete being poured and bigger foundation that gets you.
Yeah.
So if you're willing to walk up a flight of stairs, you can have double the space. So that's what this house came with. We didn't pick it. But the houses around us, like 1, 2, 3, I think 6 of them, are also 2 stories. So if you're in the backyard, everybody can see you. Everybody can also hear every fucking thing you're saying. But in the tent, of course, it creates some dead space and, absorb sound. So much better chance of being able to just have a conversation and not think about how anybody within 150 feet of you can hear every fucking word you're saying. It's just annoying. It's like living at home. Like, God.
Another thing that happened while we didn't have the live last week, or it's been 2 weeks, I think. But I went to a concert. That's another thing, and I didn't even tell Matt this. I didn't even wear my mask.
I know you didn't. I saw the pictures.
It was general admission, so there was no seating. So we were all like piled together in the front, and I was fine. Again, my medicine seems to be working out for me. But it was a lot of fun. And if you missed it, everybody, I did pull a photo. This was my Western outfit for the concert. We went to see Orville Peck, who is a gay country singer. And that was my outfit.
Does he look so cute, y'all?
It was a lot of fun. A really good concert. He's a really good performer. So if you want to check out Orville Peck, I would suggest doing so. He has some great songs. He seems like a really fun person. So that was a lot of fun. I think next week, next week, theater. There's a theater performance. So theater is starting up, so I'll be doing that some. We have a concert basically like once a month until like December. So that's a lot of fun.
Well, I'm glad you're
I just
out
like
doing
packed
this.
our schedule.
This is just this is really good and it's really exciting. I think a lot of people really just don't see that because they're so used to seeing you on camera, and all these things that you do. And we talk about your life at the TV station and all this. I just don't see like it's hard to explain, like
I do. I do have fun occasionally. Okay, everybody. Also, I didn't tell Matt this.
Oh,
yet.
But
there is a website called Feed Spot, and basically it is gathers blogs and gathers podcasts throughout all of the internet. And it basically, people can subscribe to a certain list and different things like that. And so it kind of like gathers all of it, so you don't have to search for it. So if there's a certain topic you want, you can go to this website and you can see what you want to see concerning certain topics. Anyway, I got an email this week, Matt, where that they wanted to congratulate us because they have selected the ComaCast as one of the top 10 LGBT talk shows on the web. We're actually number 4. We're number 4.
What? How did you not tell me this?
Now, they rank these. They have a team of over 50 experts whose goal is to discover, rank, and categorize popular blogs and podcasts. They've curated over 250,000 blogs and categorize them into different categories. But yeah, so We are number 4
What?
on the top 10 best LGBT talk shows in 2022. So I'll
Cody,
put
oh
the
my God.
I'll put the
That's,
oh, that didn't save it. I'll put the link in so everyone, if
oh
you
my
want
God.
to check that out.
That, yes.
But
Cody's
yeah,
like,
we
all casual.
we're
I'm
number
like
four.
I'm clicking on this and like in my own podcast. Oh, you know what? It won't let me open it. Oh, open link in new tab. What the hell? Let's see. It's an oh my God. Oh my God. What?
And
That's
so
so
this is
cool.
this is also a website that it gathers information, and they'll send out emails occasionally to different people to get contact information. We use this a lot in TV, where we could access websites similar to this one, but more for working in TV. But it's contacts, media contacts for different things. And so this is also one of the things they do, is that they have uh, contacts to bloggers and podcasters. So when people search out different things, these are on the list. But yeah, I thought that was great. We're number 4 of the best LGBT talk shows in 2022.
That- oh my God, that's so great.
And it's a
When
top
did you
10
find
list.
this out?
The last, or this week. Yeah, this week. But yeah. And I
That
think it's crazy. It's a top 10 list, and we're number 4. It's not like, okay, we just barely made it, and we're number
and not even
10.
that. How many like
We're,
podcasts did they look at before they settled even on a top 10? You know? Oh my God, that's so great. Not
so
that I
yeah.
want to point out that we don't do this for any sort of recognition or anything. Like, honestly, we just kind of float along under the radar, and whoever's listening's listening. But if, much like being my friend, if I have something to say, I'm probably gonna find a way to say it. And that's literally what the podcast was like an extension of. And Cody was like, I can put that on TV. And like 3 years late, 2 or 3 years later, like that's really nice that something acknowledged us that wasn't like a hateful comment.
So we've been
I remember,
acknowledged, and who knows where we're going from here. Get ready, the tour is coming.
yeah, there was one comment. One of my favorite hate comments I've ever read before you, because we'll usually delete like ugly comments or anything like that, because that's not the kind of attention we want. I know like bad publicity can be good publicity, but I don't want to play that game. I don't want that in the comment section. But somebody left this comment. It was one of them. We just did like a really one-off episode where we kind of just talked about literally the cats, and it was just a very like, we were tired and we wanted to do the show, and we were tired. We had done so many heavy topics, and those are really difficult topics to continually push and talk about and share, and they're really draining. And we were just like, let's just talk about cats and food, and we're super chill. And this person was like, great, 2 gays sitting around talking about themselves, boring, next. And I was like, that's the only episode you checked out? Oh well. I mean, I don't if you thought that's what the whole show, if you thought that was what 3 years of material was about, I too would be like, next. But still, it was like, he kind of, there were some other words with it, but it made me laugh. I do remember one time on stream, I think it was one of the late nights, I think my ribs were hurting really bad from the gym, and I was laying on my side, and it was one of those hate raids, and they came on. I don't know if they realized they joined a gay podcast, but they were going on like insulting us for being gay, and I thought it was the funniest thing. And I'm like, bro, this is like Dickland. Like, this is the land of queer shit. Like,
Yeah, I
you look a
remember
lot
that.
more gay doing this than I do laying the way I was. I promise. But if you want, I can track you down, find out who your contacts are, and send it to everybody that you were following gay shit if you want to play those games. But I just remember laughing about it and being like, well, thanks for the extra 3 views, because each of you were there for like 10 minutes times 3. That's like 30 minutes of time where we were being shown to the world. Oh my God, guys, bitch, thanks, But we blocked him and didn't move on because again, we're not looking for that kind of. We don't want that kind of attention. Cody's like, give me the drama. I'm really excited for summer because my finals, if you guys didn't hear me earlier, my finals are Tuesday. And after that, we will have some sort of summer schedule and we'll be able to actually do topics again. I might even be able to finish writing my sequel. Speaking of, Cody, there is something we have to talk about. And much like many of the things you've brought up tonight that you haven't bothered to tell me prior to going live on camera, I think it is your turn. I was looking through my records and there is something missing from you. Do you know what it might be, Cody?
Your records.
Mm-hmm. I was filing away and looking around and was like, man, this thing that Cody was working on and it's not here. I can't find it. Cody, what could it be?
I have no idea.
Oh, man. What is something you hate to do? What is something I bring it up? I like it and you hate it.
Read.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
Well, I did say that I was going to be doing a episode or a review of your book.
I think that was in 2014. No.
No, it is on my list. It will be happening.
Oh, I was just, since we were talking about things that neither of us knew about, I thought, why not?
No, I need to get back on all of that. I have not done a any sort of video since December. Not any of my cocktail videos, which is crazy because we just got through May the 4th be with you. And I did no Star Wars cocktail. It was Cinco de Mayo yesterday. I did no cocktail.
Yes.
So I'm missing all these days to do cocktail
I was
videos,
getting all
and
these
I've
Star
not
Wars
done it.
texts, and I really appreciate the spirit of it, but I was taking that ATI test, that standardized test that morning, and I just couldn't hardly respond to anybody because I was, I wouldn't say anxious, but tense. I was very tense because it's a very stressful test, and I would love to have taken my blood pressure before the test. Maybe I won't ever do. I've never done that, and I don't think I'm going to do that. But so I was getting all these Star Wars references, and I love it. But I'm like, you guys, I couldn't turn my phone off because my reviews are saved on my phone. I need online access to log into it and look at it because I didn't want to download it to my phone because it was a pain in the ass, and it was the viewability is way better in the app than just downloading the document. And people were blowing it up, and I also needed to contact my classmates and my study group, and we were reviewing, and oh my God, it was so much stress. And then in my family, we celebrate, we don't, not as much anymore because I don't live at home, but we celebrate a thing we call Sydney de Mayo because my cousin Sydney was born on May 5th. So it's kind of just been like a running thing in our family for like 35 years. That's just what, just kind of alongside Cinco de Mayo. I want to say I think Sid is Mexican. A lot of my family are mixed. Most of us are mixed. Like one section of my family is 100% white. And then outside, like as you branch out, like we're like, some of us are slivers up to like 3/4. So like, family dinners were good when we got together and did like the big like dinners. Those were fine. But man, those other ones, nope. But yeah, we always celebrated Cinco de Mayo, and I don't really talk too much to my family anymore because they don't really respond to me. I have some interesting family updates, but I don't really want to share them because like sometimes I don't know who listens to the podcast, honestly, and it's not. I don't want it to come out in like a mean-spirited way. Just a lot of left field surprise. No, definitely not left wing surprises. Some other. I tried to see if maybe that would work. It doesn't work. No, left field surprises. So I was like, well, maybe that'll be another day. But yeah, when I texted Cody 10 minutes before 7, I was like, hey, I actually am free. We've reconfigured an entire room because David, as of today, resigned his old job and no longer works from home. So for the first time in almost 10 years, at least since in the last 10 years I've known him, or he was my roommate even, one of us has worked from home, one or both of us. So finally, we don't. And I already hate it. And as soon as I don't have to be a bedside nurse anymore, I won't be, because people are really mean. Like, I'm excited to do it and excited to care for people and help people.
Yeah.
But that is tempered by the fact of how just really mean and hateful people can be. And I don't want to be burned out in the career. I actually am looking forward to moving on to teaching, and being a provider, like, and stepping away from bedside, kind of having a little more distance with my patients.
Yeah.
But hopefully this time next year, we will be planning my graduation and David's graduation as well, because we will graduate at the same time. And so that'll be really exciting. We do a thing they call a pinning ceremony, and you get pinned, and usually it's by like a family member or a teacher that's really important to you, something like that. It's not the official graduation, but it's like you're graduating and this is happening, and it's more of an informal ceremony that's meant to be more intimate for the students and their loved ones. And I think we all know how I am about pomp, circumstance, and tradition, because they want us all to pay for it too, by the way.
Yeah.
And most of us, you can definitely see like the generational gap here. They came in to talk to us to say we need to join these organizations, and that's what'll pay for it, and blah blah blah. And we're like, but it doesn't count for anything, and you're making us pay for it and be around more people we don't want to be around for like 3 or 4 hours, so y'all can listen and talk about how great you guys did with us for the last 2 years.
Yeah.
Academia is abusive, and I want nothing more to do with it other than what I have to do. So like, they came in to talk to us, and they walked out of the room. In my group, there was about 40 people in my classroom, and we're all kind of quietly looking. Nobody said anything. We're just quietly looking around at each other like, no, we good? Okay. I mean, they're probably going to try to force us to do it anyway, but I don't think I'm going to attend it. David doesn't want to attend his. I don't want to attend mine. I would rather celebrate with friends.
Yeah.
Did you hear what I said? With friends.
What is that?
Go. I'm so ambitious. Celebrate privately. I don't, just dinner or something at home, where we have, I don't know, like a big nurse cake or something, and everybody comes over and tells us congratulations, because I'm super proud of David. I'm super proud of myself, because this is a huge accomplishment. Getting this far is a huge accomplishment. Accomplishing another semester of this shit is a pretty big thing. Like, I've spent a good portion of my semester tutoring the incoming students in the lower level, our level 1 students, and which I'm really good at. That's the strength of mine, is teaching. So I like doing it, but sometimes you have to lay down boundaries as well and say, hey, while teaching you does help me retain this information, because it's all cumulative. Sorry. Each semester builds on the one before. So when you get to these final tests, there's things from your prior semesters, and that's what makes it so hard. So that's why skipping classes and not doing your work is not helpful, because it's gonna come out. You're gonna get highlighted that you aren't doing what you're supposed to be doing, and that's hard. So sometimes you have to lay down those boundaries. Like, the level 1s took their test Monday, and I was there on campus studying, and of course I forgot their test was Monday. So they're coming out of their test. Some were like, oh yay, I passed. Others were like, oh shit, I have to do the retake, and panicking. And for some, this might end their career before it even starts, because they have to decide if they want to retake the semester and pay for it again. Most people do, and usually it only takes one time. You learn how it's working, and sometimes repeating isn't a bad thing. If you need the information and you need to redo it to get it set in your head, do it. That can be a positive thing. But time-wise and personally, that's emotionally hard, because you've already lived it.
Yeah.
And now you're having to redo it, and that's mentally really hard to deal with. And so a lot of it was spent, how did you do your test? How do you study? And it's like repetition, and some more repetition. I mean, I think everybody that has texted me in the last month and a half, or probably actually since mid-February, hey, Matt, what are you doing? I'm at school. Hey, Matt, what are you doing? I'm at school. Hey, Matt, what are you doing? I'm on the way to I'm getting ready to leave to go to school, you know? But I had a point where I almost quit this semester and just said, I don't want to do this anymore. I'm very unhappy with it. And I'm still very unhappy with it. I like nursing, but nothing will kill your love for doing something more than school. And they're basically telling us how they are planning to abuse us some more for the next 2 semesters, and that's fine. And any questions about it would be considered spoon feeding. And I was like, we paid for the whole fucking spoon, bowl, and porridge. And if I ask a question, I'm entitled to an answer, because I'm not asking test questions. I'm asking information about lecture. And, you know, in their lectures, they use other nurses, like, you know, YouTube nurses that post information and demonstrations. They use their videos as part of our lectures and pre-class readings and stuff. They're taking other people's work and incorporating it into their own and making it their own for lectures. So if I'm going to ask a question, I'm going to ask a fucking question. You know, I can also see the dates on all of their PowerPoints and lectures. So they're like, we put all these together. And I'm like, you put these together 6 years ago, and most of you weren't even employed here 6 years ago. So please stop that. You know, like, obviously I'm not a very popular student. That I reminded my teachers the other day that I was like, I'm not doing this because I have to. My parents are not making me come to school. So I have no problem telling you that this is abusive for the sake of being abusive. This can be made better for everybody, and not just for free points. Because an administrator told me that they don't hand out points. I said, we don't want points. We want you to teach us. We want you to answer our questions without being condescending or degrading. And if what you're doing is working so well, why is there a massive shortage way before COVID happened? And why do 25% of nurses quit like 2 years after getting their degree? Where are your colleagues? Are they still nurses? No? Oh, wow. Where are you? Why aren't you in the hospital? You're not. You're teaching. Why are you teaching? Because you couldn't deal with it anymore. There's a spiral and there's a cycle. So I was at a point where I was ready to quit, and I was driving to school. I would say that was over the weekend, and I've never let myself make a decision when I'm upset. And even then, I probably still would finish the program as much as I want to quit and just not work bedside, just totally walk away from that. And I was driving. I had to drive by one of the major hospitals that we actually clinical at. And as I was coming up to the light, a guy walking on the street started having a seizure, and I saw him from like down the road. I'm flying up the road towards him, and I see a cop walking like about half a mile, like an hour, on his radio. Luckily, whoever he radioed for, a tech, a patient care tech, and because I could see the scrub color, so I know what they are, and it looked like maybe a nurse. Come flying past the cop. Just, I don't know. I mean, I thought they were gonna like knock his ass over, and got to the guy before the cop. The cop had like 100-foot head start from the front door.
Yeah.
Like, from where this guy was on a downhill. It is a very steep downhill, and he is just. And the other two come flying down this hill with a wheelchair and get this guy into it and start pulling him up before this cop even got within 5 feet of him. And yeah, and I was already pulling over to jump out. I'm like mostly dressed, and I've got my badge on still and everything because I'm on the way to school. And I was like, well, shit. You know, I've always wanted to work more acute care. I grew up watching Rescue 911 and all these shows. I've seen lots of the shows, and I've been around people that did it. And long-term care was not really what sings to me, but acute care, ERs, working in that kind of environment where you're there to react and do the quickest work as hard as you can, as quick as you can to save this person. And that's what I wanted to do. Like, that's the environment. I don't know if it's the ADHD, and my brain flies 1,000 miles an hour, but it's an environment that I thrive in. Especially, I know once I was trained, I think I would function very well. So that's what I've always wanted to really do with nursing and medicine. And I'm like, well, what do I do? And so I want you all to know that crying in nursing school is a real thing. And you cry for a variety of reasons. It's not just, I want to be a nurse and this is hard. It's that you're emotionally and mentally broken, and it breaks you down harder and harder and harder. And you're in a lot of ways being constantly told, why don't you get this? Why don't you get this? We talked about this.
Yeah.
I literally got yelled at in the middle of a lecture and called the wrong name by my instructor last semester. And she goes, "Where did you see this thing that you just did?" It was on doing catheters, where, you know, the thing when you can't pee, you put a catheter in so you can pee in a bag. And she goes, "Where did you see this, Michael?" I'm like, "Well, one, my name is Matt, but okay." This is somebody who's known me for 4 months, and there's only 10 people
Yeah.
in my class for that. And she said, "Where did you see that? Why did you do this way?" And I said, "Well, you should shut up, Michael. That's not what I asked." And I was like, "I'm really sorry that I didn't do the right thing that you showed me one time 8 days ago on a mannequin." You know, like, I don't have patience for any of that. You can drop the superiority complex. I don't give a fuck if you're, you know, God, Doctor Jesus. You don't fucking matter to me like that. You know, like right now
Yeah.
you're the teacher and I'm the student. How is you doing this helping? None of what you've said is an instruction. All you've done is yell. I'd
Yeah.
like to point out that the highlight of it was when so you know to stop when you insert a catheter as you're advancing it. You do it slowly. When urine starts coming out, and you know you've gone far enough and you stop. So that's why you go very slow. Urine wasn't coming out, but I know I had gone far enough, so I did stop because I know about where it should be. And she goes, "Why isn't the urine coming out?" I'm like, "Well, I don't know. It's a mannequin. Like, let me ask." So she yanks the genitalia out of it and shakes it, which causes, by the way, there was pee in it, and sprayed pee all over me, the bed, the patient, and the catheter, and the floor. And of course, there's like, you know, like in these mannequins are very expensive. These like cry, bleed, scream, you know, they can do
Yeah.
lots of things. And so they have that kind of grease in them that, you know, helps the joints move easier.
Yeah.
Well, of course, when she pulled the genitalia out, it exposed some of that, and when she put it back in, it got some of the grease, which is like a dark brown. And she goes, "You clean that shit up and let's keep going." And I'm like, so I mean, I'm like, is this part of it, or do I just pretend that didn't happen? So I, you know, pull, you know, I clean up. She goes, and I had not even stepped back. She goes, "And change your gloves." I'm like, so, and because I'm really tall, where my setup is, I have a lot of room that I can work and still maintain what's
Yeah.
called a sterile field where there's no cross contamination. Well, my instructor is a foot and a half shorter than me, so she works differently, which is proper. But for me, I can have a lot more room to work and it's not stressful to me or my back. Sir, I mean, I literally reach my left arm out over the patient to grab something. I'm still facing my sterile field, and she
Yeah.
just goes off again. "What are you doing? Why are you doing that? How can you do that?" I'm like, "Because I'm almost 6 feet tall." You know, at some point I was starting to get frustrated, but it's really important to never ever lose your temper because, you know, ultimately you're the one being graded,
Yeah.
and you're not going to win. You are not going to win. You're absolutely never going to win. And the hard part to deal with was this is an instructor who typically we all got along with very well. She's a former OB. She's now retired, but she's a former OBGYN nurse and just has a very mama bear kind of feel. And she's an incredible teacher. I don't know if she was just having a bad day because I wasn't the first one she yelled at. Out of 10 of us, she
Yeah.
yelled at 5 or 6 of us.
Wow.
And then, I mean, and we had done several skills checkoffs before this. This was like 3-4 months into the semester. I don't know what the hell was happening. I mean, it was a very normal day, and she just unloaded on each of us in turn. Like, and, you know, and you can't take it personally. And when someone starts calling you the wrong name and yelling at you, it really tests your 12 steps.
I would imagine so.
Like, you know, and that's what makes it hard. That's when people are making mistakes when you think about making stupid mistakes, and people say, "How can you make those mistakes?" I can tell you how. When you're that tired and you're that worn out, and you're trying to remember something that was said to you, for example, on my massive standardized test last semester, one of the questions was in order. It was a drag and drop question. Put in the 5 steps of how to apply belt restraints to a patient. That was talked about in, let's see, we started school in August. It was talked about at the end of August in one paragraph of one chapter. How many chapters do you think I've read between August and like November at the end of November when I took this test? And, you know, my own teachers, because they don't have any control over that test. That test is just set to us. And they're like, where did that even come from? You know, and that's the kind of pressure. I mean, I don't know if you've followed the case or heard about it. That nurse, Radon DeVot, that's facing criminal charges because a patient died. And there's lots of opinions, and I've now since gone through the entire case. Of course, it's a very hot topic, and I would love for us to do an episode on it and explain to people how this happens and how she was the only person when she realized her error, she went to her supervisors the same day that she realized it and filed a report. The hospital tried to cover it up. She's the only one that did something, and she's the only one facing jail time. None of the administrators, none of the people who put this in time. And a lot of people don't realize that every medication has a generic name and a brand name, and every hospital system is different. And, you know, like the hospital, one of the hospitals I work with recently eliminated something that eliminated a safety mechanism. Like when you give insulin, like if I were to give you insulin, I would hold it, I would pull it, draw it, look at it, and then I would have David check it. The other nurse in the room, I would call another nurse and be like, can you look at this and make sure it's the exact amount? Because obviously, if you give somebody too much insulin, you can kill them. And
Yeah.
don't have to anymore. Draw and give it to them. And it's like, don't get me wrong, your chances of making a mistake are low. Would you want to be that percent? I mean, it's a safety mechanism. How many nurses in the last 20% of the field has quit or died? And so how many of them that are still there are getting the crap worked out of them, you know, that if they don't, and her own nurses were forbidden to speak about it or they would be terminated. So nobody could even defend her. And recently in another hospital I worked at, they want me to sign a contract with them after nursing school. And they will count my clinical experience as a year of experience as a incentive. They just up their patient ratio from 4 to 1 to 5 to 1 on a critical care unit. This is not like like everybody's urgent care. People have sprained ankles.
Yeah.
These are very sick people. 4 is a lot. 4 will keep you're running the entire day. 5 people, if you have 5 of them, you think it only takes one person that has maybe dementia to spend the entire day screaming because they're scared. And they still need their medications. They still need food, and they still need to go to the bathroom and cleaned up and properly cared for. And they might be screaming at you the whole time, or they might not. You don't know. But I know one day I was in there, and all 4 of my patients were all, we would say it as more of like an altered level of consciousness. Just they're very, very sick. And can you imagine, everybody gets a 5th one? There's nobody that's not safe. Safe staffing saves lives, and it's something I felt very strongly about for a long time, but it's not something I felt like was appropriate to speak about because I wasn't really in the field, and I was aware of it because of what I did, but I can speak on it differently now. And these are the types of things you see and you think, do I want to do this? Do I want to do this to myself? I'm running straight into a burning building, and it feels like your instructors, or not instructors, administrators, are literally standing there with a fire hose spraying you, not the fire. That's how it feels. And so that's what's happening. And that's why I was sitting in the parking lot eating Reese cups. I just happened to be eating Reese cups, and I was kind of thinking on like, what do I want to do? I always do a thing like pros and cons in my head when I'm trying to get myself to think straight. And I was just kind of thinking pros and cons. I've always wanted to do this, blah, 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 talking this out to myself while I was eating, and I just started crying. I was so overtired, and I was like, okay, I am way too tired to be thinking about this. So I literally just finished what I was eating and drove home and went to sleep. And it was one of the days we canceled the live because I was like, I can't today. I am done. And if you're wondering, oh, by the way, if you're wondering why I'm wearing a hoodie in Texas when it was 100 degrees outside, this room gets very, very cold. The AC flows right through this room. So the rest of the house might be like 70. This room will be like 5. It'll feel 5 to 10 degrees colder. But yeah, so that's what's been happening all semester, and how excited I am to be at the end of my semester.
Well, yeah. So you have your test next week, everybody.
Yeah, I just have 2 tests on Tuesday. I only need a 50. Like I said, I only need a 54 to pass one of them and a 35 to pass the other. But I need a 72, something like that, a 72 or a 74 to maintain. I'm not going to be able to get an A in the one class. I just can't. I'm bad of a start in the semester. But to maintain my B, I need a 72, which I think I can do that. Like, I typically get, other than my very first test, I typically average an 80 to an 85 on my tests. That's, that's a more normal score for me. My other two tests this semester got an 82 and an 84. And on the 84, I made one question I literally clicked the wrong answer, and I didn't realize it. And the other two were very basic math questions. I've never missed a math question in nursing school till this test. And I missed both, which cost me an A. I would have had an A on the test, and that hurt because it makes it harder at the end to, I work really hard all through the semester because I know I'm wearing down as the semester goes. So your finals are cumulative, but mostly they're a look back. So if you worked really hard on test 1, 2, 3, you know the material pretty well by the time you get there to start reviewing it to get ready for your final. So I try to never slack. That's why on break, literally the first week, Christmas break, I don't think I even answered my phone once. I just sat on the couch. I just literally sat down, and I had dreams for probably 3 days after finals that I was getting up and going to school. I wasn't stressed. I wasn't having like, oh my God, I went to school naked. I literally in my dreams was getting up, going to school, opening my laptop, and studying and reviewing like I would do 4 days a week.
Oh,
I was like,
goodness,
wow, I need
you guys.
I mean, I literally have thought I should have just tried to go to medical school. I'm already putting 1 million hours into this. I might as well. I have the bachelor's degree. I might as well have gone and tried to go to medical school. So,
well, everybody, send Matt good vibes. If you're a witch, do your thing. Well, everybody, again, we've gone past an hour. Thank everybody who's joined us here for our show on Friday. We do these as much as we can on Fridays. And obviously Matt will be finishing up school and have a little break, so we'll be back a little bit more regularly to hang out with you. We're glad that you want to hang out with us. We're glad we're now the number 4 talk show.
can't, Cody, that is so crazy. Number 4?
New we'll have a new episode coming out on Wednesday, so be sure and check that out and share it with all your friends.
Is that your
anxiety
episode?
That came out already.
Okay, that's what I thought, because I was
so I don't know what's coming out. I don't know what's coming out this week, but it'll be fun. We have some fun episodes will be coming out, so be sure and check that out on Wednesday. Send it to your friend, let them know about it, so that they can be part of the number 4 talk show. But anyway,
oh my God, Cody, does this mean we can finally get t-shirts?
Right? And then Chris says, I love you guys, I can't wait till next time. And that hot tub.
I am very excited to I will take pictures. I have 3 Speedos. I have never worn one in my life other than to try them on when they arrive. And so I'm super excited to wear them because I've decided that I don't care. I'm going to be 36 in like 2.5 weeks, 3 weeks or something. What's today? The 5th, 6th?
Goodness, you guys, he's so old.
I know. God, how can you? We really struggle with the audio because every time we usually have to do it twice because we are all just creaking and cracking in me, and it picks up on the mic. It's all that crunching. Man, my knees, No, for real though.
Coming soon, on episode where we talk about Matt's creaking and cracking.
The medical term for that is crepitus.
I like creaking and cracking.
Decrepit. Creaking and cracking. I got the creakies and cracklies. Oh my gosh, Cody. So I just looked. Our whole podcast, despite us having to take a lot of the semester off because of me and a pandemic, we are at 4,800 plays on just here. That's not counting YouTube and other things that can't count in it. So I don't know where we are. And because I don't really know the metrics of it kind of get all spread out because who listens on YouTube versus who prefers to listen in just audio, because we used to record separately for YouTube. We recorded something for audio and then we're like, oh, well, let's record something that's more video friendly. Now we're like, now let's put it in one. And if you have to see us, you can see us. If you don't want to look at us, that's okay. Like, I accept that.
And some of you do both. Thank you.
I know. I love it. Thank you. Or if you're my husband who is like, no, I don't listen to it, but I will put it on. I will play it and listen quietly sometimes or not at all.
So
I'm
sweet.
like, well,
so sweet.
That's touching. Does Justin listen to the podcast?
No.
Yeah. I love this. I love this. We both do this, and both of our partners are like, meh. I can't wait to get off the phone and tell David all about the number 4 podcast.
Number 4.
Q podcast of 2022.
I mean, there you go. So everybody tune in Wednesday, new episode. It's gonna be a fun episode.
Do you think I can pull down Twinks with that line?
Probably. And I think we'll have another fun question that I asked Matt this past week was the zombie, would Matt be prepared for a zombie apocalypse? And
I would be. David has already agreed that he would just die.
Oh my goodness.
That's what he says every time we watch a movie with zombies.
So there'll be something fun coming out Wednesday. Anyway, y'all, have a great weekend, and we hope you do something fun. Anyway, bye.
Bye.